Hi, I'm Ryan Palmer. I'm here with Nicole Formosa and Lacey Kemp, and we're at the 2018 Bible of Bike Test here in Marquette, Michigan. And today we're talking about the Pivot Mach 5.5, which is a 140, 160 mil travel bike. Comes with 2.6-inch tires, which is a change.
Is that plus?
Is it plus?
Ooh,
I don't know.
big question.
I think it is. I think it is because, and I didn't think so before, but I feel like it feels more like a 2.8 than it does a 2.4.
It felt like a plus on this bike to me.
Yeah.
Why did it feel like a plus on this bike to you? Let's
Well,
talk about the uphill.
It had lots and lots of traction.
Yeah, lots of traction.
You do get a little bit of this squirminess, but not as much from the 2.6 as you do with the 2.8. But it is a big balloony tire still.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of a monster truck, honestly. I mean, overall, it was just kind of like, you kind of noticed the extra, you noticed the girth.
I feel like that's where I noticed it. We had like a double track climb and a single track climb in the test loop, and I didn't feel it descending, but climbing I certainly did.
To its credit, because of the traction, there was a lot of things that I was able to overcome on this bike that I struggled with on smaller tired bikes, and I think I was throwing all my muscle behind it, but I think the extra width of the tire helped me clear some things that I wasn't clearing on other bikes too. So
yeah, I mean, you definitely didn't have to be as precise about your line choice, I would say, on
Yeah.
this bike.
Is that
Like
a
I
good
felt
thing
like
or a bad thing,
I
though?
mean, I don't know what it says about me as a mountain biker, but you know, like I really felt like descending, I could just sort of point it and it felt good.
And you could really mock through stuff.
You know, one of the things I liked about this bike versus the other plus bike that we tested, which was the Ibis Mojo HD4, I thought this bike was actually pretty playful in comparison to the Mojo. I was able to kind of get this thing off the ground a little bit, find some little micro jumps, and sort of try to be like, whew, every now and then.
Yeah,
But
it's really maneuverable.
Yeah,
it
it
felt
is.
like it felt sort of like a short, snappy bike.
It's a slightly
Yeah, it's
shorter
snappy.
wheelbase too, so it was able to kind of move through things a little bit easier.
I agree with you guys on the snappiness. Like when I got it like really high speed, I felt like it was kind of like twitchy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I did feel like it's playful, but I felt like the suspension was so sort of like linear and cloud-like and soft that, and I mean, I had it set at the proper sag, but it just felt like it really just wanted to be glued to the ground. Like the Mojo, I felt like was way more poppy off stuff.
See, I disagree
I
with
have
you on that.
a totally different opinion on
Yeah,
that.
Really?
Yeah.
The Mojo felt long and very stable and planted to me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
felt like a long bike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was better at high speed, I think. But I don't know. I really like descending on this bike, but climbing was a little bit of an issue for me. It just, I really wanted the shock to be in like a pedal mode because I felt it was more bobby.
I switched it into
You know?
pedal as well on the climbs on this one too.
Yeah, I did too.
I feel like, I mean, it's kind of a true all mountain bike if you want to call it, like, because it climbs well, but it descends a little bit better
Sure.
than it climbs.
Did you feel anything missing from me? A lot of bikes with the 36 fork have the DPX2 shock, the piggyback shock, and this one
Right.
does. They chose to just go with the DPS. Did you feel that affect the ride at all?
I didn't in this particular case, because I do feel like that bike has really soft,
Yeah.
supple, very active suspension, and we didn't have any descents that were like super long, right? So like
Yeah.
we're not going to like be heating
Yeah.
the shock up too much for like inconsistency. So I think that in this case, I was very pleased with the shock that was on the bike.
How'd you feel about the overall spec on the bike?
Well, you know, it's kind of a funny thing to point out on a build with so many different parts on it, but and it's such a kind of a minor thing, but I really like the grips. They use the WTB padlock system, which is like cut off on an angle at the end of the bar, and it prevents twisting, but it also allows for a really nice cushion because there's extra rubber at the end of the grip, and that's really nice.
I agree. That was one of the weird things that it's one of the things I gripe about on bikes, but on this bike I kind of just, without being, they were just really fun to squeeze.
It's a funny thing to call out on a build,
but
right?
I agree with you. It's
it
a
is
touch
cool.
point. Well, it's
Yeah.
a touch point, right? Like your
is.
saddles and your grips are the things that you feel, and these
Yeah.
felt really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that too.
So this is one of the only bikes, I believe, in the test that has a Shimano 1x versus a SRAM 1x. It's got the XTR 11 speed.
Yeah.
So a little bit different gear range there, which for this bike, you know, because it was a little tougher to get it accelerating and going, it might have been nice to have that wider gear range.
I agree. I found myself after riding a couple bikes with an Eagle 1x, I was a little not struggling, but kind of like, oh, it would be nice to have an extra little ring right now. But
Yeah, I was grabbing for gears sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love the shift quality of Shimano.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
agree.
very
It's super
crisp,
smooth.
good shift. I don't love the feel of the shifter, but I really like. I mean, it makes the shift every time, which is good.
And XT brakes.
yeah,
always a
XT
solid.
brakes are my gold medal
Yeah.
brakes.
It's a good build. Was it a good value?
$6,200.
Yeah, $6,200. Comparatively to other things in the category, I struggle with this value.
Yeah.
I do because the Mojo HD4 is a bit less, comes with carbon wheels, and
Yeah.
is a much easier bike to climb, I think. And for me, if I'm going to spend the money, having to upgrade, I mean, you made this point last night, having to upgrade to these carbon wheels adds a lot of dollar to your spend.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest issue right there with the value of the bike.
I will say that, the parts on this bike are top shelf. So, I mean, comparing, it's not quite apples to apples with the Ibis, but, it's that thing about what do you value and where your trade-off is, and everybody's different with that.
Fair enough.
Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to our channel to see more Bible of Bike test videos.
Shit. Whatever, John.
That was good.
Okay, I'm using one of those. There's two.
One of them,
Some
one
of
of
them are
them's usable. Yeah, we're good.